Hello there, my friends. Long time no see. It's been a very long time since we did a Facebook Live, but I am really glad to be back. It's taken me a hot minute to get myself organized because, like I said, I haven't done one for a long time, but it's great to see everyone. Let me see who is here. Say hi in the chat and let us know that you are here and you're watching. So this is a live Q&A. We will be doing these at least once a month, although you never know, we might do them more often if we get lots of questions. It's a live Q&A about bookbinding, and I have got questions in from folks who've signed up for our free Bookbinding Bootcamp. So that is a free class which kind of gets you on the path to making your first handmade books. If you are a Handmade Book Club member, you already have access to that within your Handmade Book Club website. So don't worry, you're not missing anything. You have all those videos too. So I have got just a handful of questions that came through ahead of time, but if there are others that you would like to drop in the comments, we will get to those when I think I've got 4 sort of big questions that came in. If you've got a question, please feel free to drop it in the chat and we will get to it. I'm going to sort of, what's the word? I'll give priority to more general questions that will help lots of people. If it's a super specific one, like what's the measurement from here to here and how many papers of this signature, feel free to drop us an email. I can put the email in the underneath right here. Feel free to drop us an email and I can answer a very specific question for you. So we're just going to try and keep these questions general so that everyone can benefit from them. So let me see. Oh, hi, Elizabeth. Hi, Lanny. Hi, Della. Hi, Lindy. Yeah, it's freezing. And my lovely southern folks, it's freezing there too. So there's snow in the south, there's fires in California. It's freezing cold here. I don't quite know what the world's coming to, but hi, Ori. Hi, Linda. Hi, Christia. It's great to see everyone. Thank you for joining me. Right, let's get to the questions, shall we? Oh, let me find them right here. So the first question, we're going to start off super easy, is, does Kraft-tex have a grain? So to answer some of these questions, I'm actually going to flip my camera over so that it's on my work table. Just give me like a minute because it's been ages since we've done this. So just give me a second. And Amber, who very kindly is joining me, I forgot to mention that. Sorry, Amber. Amber is behind the scenes. I can see her cute face. You can't, but I can see her cute face behind the scenes. So Amber, if for some reason the audio or video doesn't come out right, you'll wave your hands at me or send me a message. All right. Stay tuned, my friends, while I flip down to my table. Go. Oops. Here we are. Okay. How's that, Amber? Is that pretty good? Not great. Hold on. Okay. How's that now? Is that okay? That's good? Okay. All right, friends. Let's do the first question. Very first question is, does Kraft-tex have a grain? Sorry about the blurriness here. Yes and no. Ooh, it's all blurry. So I think it's focusing on my hands. Does Kraft-tex have a grain? The answer is yes, it does, and yes, it doesn't. There are 2 types of Kraft-tex. If you don't know what Kraft-tex is, I've included a link down below to a blog post. So it's underneath the video to a blog post all about paper grain. All about Kraft-tex. So you can learn a little bit about it. But it's a paper fabric and it's super sturdy and it's fantastic for book covers. It's a great alternative to leather. So sometimes you'll see it called vegan leather. Sometimes you'll see it called paper fabric. And it comes in multiple colors. It comes in 8 by 10 or 8.5 by 11 sheets. It comes in rolls and it also comes in bolts. So if you love it, you can go buy yourself a bolt. There's a washed kind, which is this wrinkly kind. And then there's an unwashed kind, which is smooth. Now, the washed kind, for some reason, once it's been washed, and that's washed by the manufacturer, but you can also wash it as well. For some reason, the grain goes away. So I guess the fibers must soften enough so that the grain isn't as apparent. So you can score it in any direction and you're going to be fine. However, I'm sorry about this blurriness, it's driving me nuts. However, the smooth, unwashed kind does have a grain. So I'm just going to try and do something with this camera to try and make it less strange. The unwashed kind, the smooth kind, definitely has a grain. So I'm going against the grain here, and can you see it's cracking? Whereas if I go with the grain, it's lovely and smooth. So with the grain, nice and smooth, against the grain, it's going to crack. And if you go against the grain with Kraft-tex, it's never going to lay flat. It's always going to spring open like that. So first question, does Kraft-tex have a grain? Yes and no is the answer. All right, let's try to figure out why this is blurry. Hold on, let me, oh, hello. Let's try to see if that's some kind of setting that we can get going, so we're not so blurry. Hold on. Let's see if that doesn't really work, does it either? Video. Let's try that. Is that no? That's like 100 times worse. Let's try that. No, it's not loving it, right? That's actually like terrible. Let's see. Okay, well, let's come out of there. Thank you, my friends. So it's the first time we've done this in a really long time. So let's just oh, it says lock phone to resume. There we go. Oh, hello. Who knew? All right, well, let's try that. I know, I think it's going to be blurry. Never mind, folks. We will figure it out for next time. If I come a little bit closer to the table, maybe that would help. There we go. Maybe that's going to help us. I appreciate your patience and not leaving mean comments, as sometimes happens on YouTube. Ooh. All right, there we go. Let's try. All right, what happens if you have a piece of Kraft-tex? What happens if you have a piece of leather? What happens if you have a piece of paper which is not square? So let's take that off the screen. Let's pretend, let's make this not square. Like, let's make it completely, like, so not square, it's not even funny. Let's get a pair of scissors and like make it super wonky. Maybe this is ridiculous. If you ever had a piece of paper or leather, I would be a bit worried, but that is not square in the least. So imagine this is larger, but I'm just keeping it small for you. You have this piece of paper, you have this piece of leather, you have a piece of fabric. If you work with fabric, you're probably going to work with a quilting ruler and a rotary cutter. But with paper, we're going to work with a knife and a ruler. So I recently did a video. So if you're a book club member and you look in the back to basics section, you will actually find a video, a pre-recorded video about this. But I'm happy to show folks here on YouTube. So what we're going to do is we're just going to pick one side, any side. Let's pick this one right here. And we're going to choose that as our like first side. And we're going to make that straight. So we're just going to waste as little paper as we can, and we're going to use a metal ruler. We're using this triangle here. A triangle is going to be your friend. And we've just made our first straight line. Like this line right here. Oops, let me get around a pen. This line right here is our first straight line. That's going to be our reference point. And what we're going to do is we're going to create a right angle here by lining our right angle triangle. Remember, this is my sort of straight edge, lining the top up here, and then losing as much of this side as little as possible. Because if I did it there, then obviously we're not going to get a square piece. Lining this up nice and straight. And now you see here we have a right angle. So now this is another straight side, and there's a right angle. Let's flip it around 90 degrees, and let's do the same right here. So if you're working with a large piece of paper or leather, you're going to use, a ruler which is appropriate. So let's line up this one, which we just did, with this raggedy corner or this raggedy edge. Here we go. Here's another straight edge and a right angle. Flip it around one more time. So if you're using a large piece of paper, you might use like a yardstick or something. And metal yardsticks are cheap as chips at hardware stores. So let's line this top edge up against this straight edge here, which we just created. Let's waste as little as possible of our material and create our third and our fourth right angle. And now that is square. Hope that helps, my friends. This is a really useful skill to have. And again, if you're doing it with fabric, you're just going to use a quilting ruler, which is really useful. If you have a quilting ruler and you want to do it with paper, I would just mark with a pencil rather than cutting with a metal ruler, metal knife against a plastic ruler, because you can see here like where I've nicked it. Tim Holtz has a really nice gridded ruler with a metal edge, which Kit Davey introduced me to, which is really nice. I haven't ordered one yet, but that would also be a lovely tool to get things square. But I'm kind of married to this metal triangle, as many of you know. All right, that was the second question. The next question that came in, which again, some of these questions are great because they're the kind of questions that everyone has at the beginning of making books, but they're always a little bit afraid to ask. So what would be a useful bookbinding kit if you want to make an art book or poetry chapbook? Honestly, there's very little that you have to buy specifically to make books. You're going to need a sharp craft knife. I really like this 8mm Olfa knife. The reason I like it is I can change the blades often. It has little grooves here and I can snap off the blades really easily. With this tool at the end, you can snap off the blades. But many of you already have sharp craft knives. So a sharp craft knife is an essential. You've all got a pair of scissors, so you definitely need scissors. A metal ruler in whatever size, 18, 12. Various sizes are useful. Again, I bet you already have that. I bet this isn't a special bookbinding kit. But here are a couple of things that I think if you want to invest, say $30, this would be a good choice. A bone folder. Another kind. So this happens to be a Teflon bone folder, but you do not need a Teflon bone folder. You can just get a plastic bone folder to start with, or one that's made of bone, but they're more expensive. The Teflon one is sort of a next level. This is, you put this on your Christmas or birthday list. It's, maybe $25, but a plastic bone folder is maybe $5 or $6, or it's probably more now with inflation. But a bone folder is one of the tools that I would invest in if you are starting out with bookmaking. Another two tools that I would invest in are an awl with a larger, what's this kind of, that makes larger holes, a larger awl like that. And I really like this with a little ball on the end. And I've included a link underneath this video to a blog post where I talk about my 13 essential tools. So, and there will be a link to these, but you can buy these on Amazon. You can buy them from Tallis. You can buy them from Colophon Book Arts. You can buy them from Hollanders. You could get them, Paper and Ink Arts in Nashville, who are online. They have them. And then I would, as a second one, so we've got the bone folder, we've got the large awl, I would get this thin awl. So this thin awl is great for punching holes just in paper, in signatures. And then this one is good for punching holes in bookboard. So if you only think you're going to make soft cover books, then perhaps you only need this one. But if you're going to be making things with hard covers, this one is much better. If I try and use this one on here, you can see it's going to bend. So those honestly are the only three things I would probably purchase if I were you. You're also going to need, a needle, but I'd be surprised if you're a maker, you don't have a needle. An embroidery needle, a darning needle is fine to start off with. In terms of other tools which you might want to get, you may want to invest in this tool right here. This is a corner mitering tool, and it's made of metal, and it's 3/4 of an inch wide, which is really good when you are you put a piece of book cloth down, and then you glue a piece of book board to it, and then when you want to get an even amount of book cloth or paper all the way around the edge, you can use that to get like a nice 3/4 inch turn in, and then you can use it to miter your corners. So let's say this was a piece of book board and I was wrapping it around this, I would miter my corner like this. So this is maybe $17 or $18. It's from Colorway Arts. This is another tool I would probably invest in if I was starting out on a bookmaking journey. But honestly, aside from that, I really feel like we have most of the tools we already need. In terms of supplies, some PVA glue would be useful to have. Some thread would be useful to have if you're going to be sewing, and thread is the next question that comes up. But honestly, I feel very strongly that you really don't need that much to get started. And if there are any veteran bookbinders here, please feel free in the chat to sort of reassure folks, and or let me know if you agree with me. Maybe you don't agree with me. Maybe you think you do need lots of tools and supplies. So, but yes, I'd be curious to know, if you are an experienced bookmaker, what is the one tool that you perhaps couldn't live without? And don't forget this metal triangle as well. I'm not sure if I mentioned that, but I would say this is worth an investment too. It's about $10. You can get these at art supply stores, paper and ink arts, all of the bookbinding places. This one is 9 inches. And I wouldn't worry about the angle. We don't really use, some of them are like 90 degrees and 60 degrees. To me, it doesn't matter what the angle is. It's just you want the right angle. It's important. I'm just going to see what folks are saying in the chat about tools. Yes, honestly, I would really love to know about what tools you use. So if you're just joining us, I'm really sorry about the blurry camera. We're just getting back to doing lives, and I guess it's well, we're still working on things. All right, next question. Range of threads. I get asked this all the time, and I'm always happy to answer it. Threads. Let's dump out some threads here on the table and take a look. So when you're making a book, you want to think about whether it's going to last for a long time, like it's a journal or a book that you're going to keep using over and over, or whether it's just going to be decorative and sit on a shelf. If it's going to be decorative and just sit on a shelf, then you don't need to worry so much about longevity. You could use cotton, you could use an embroidery floss, you could use pearl cotton, you could use anything like that. So if it's an artist book, you could use wire, you could use raffia, you could use, hemp, you could use any of those things, and I wouldn't worry about it too much. What I'm going to be talking about today is when you're going to make a book that's going to last for a while, that's actually going to be used as a book, and it's going to be used over and over again. My number one choice is waxed thread. Waxed thread, just like this. There are waxed linen thread, sorry. You can buy it waxed or unwaxed. I prefer to buy it waxed, and then that job is done. But you can also buy it unwaxed. So this here is a Londonderry thread, and it comes unwaxed. And then you need to add a layer of beeswax to it before you sew. So some people prefer to add their own beeswax because they don't like a lot. I happen to like a lot. So your first choice is, do I go waxed or unwaxed? Sometimes you'll see thread called polished. That means it just has a tiny bit of wax on it, not too much. So again, you may want to just go the middle ground to get the polished, but you don't see that as often. You can use cotton. You can use an embroidery floss. Just make sure you add a good layer of beeswax. Let me put this on here. And So use all 6 strands. I wouldn't use that glossy shimmery kind because it's really going to slip around and your stitches won't hold in place. Just a plain embroidery floss. Or you can use a number 5 pearl cotton. And again, it won't be as strong, but if you're just starting out and this is all you have, just use this. Just use this, put a good layer of beeswax on it. And when I say beeswax, you can, sometimes it's called thread conditioner and it comes in a tin. Sometimes it comes in a block like this. And then in the quilting department, it comes in this plastic case. These plastic cases are nice. They've got notches in the top. You just drag the thread through it. If you have a block like this, you just have to hold it in place with your thumb and drag it through. I like a lot of wax because I think it holds the stitches in place a lot better. What I would not buy is this. This is a nylon thread that you get on Amazon. There are bookbinding starter kits on Amazon, and I would not buy that. It's a nylon, and it's generally used with leather, and it cuts through paper. So please don't use that. If you get the basic bookbinding kit from Amazon, it's fine. I think the needles are too big, but the bone folder's just fine. But the thread, please just throw it away. You don't want it. When you're purchasing, so here are some brands of unwaxed thread. This is the Londonderry I talked about, and we'll talk about numbers in a minute because I know everyone wonders about numbers. Here is some, this is a brand, this is a French brand, Fil de Lin Glacé. That's a fairly common brand in Europe. And here's another one, Pro Atelier, another linen. I believe this feels a little polished, maybe. I think it's got a little bit of wax on it. So those are European brands which are very popular. I, however, find them too coarse and I don't use them. The ones that I use are a basket weaving thread. I've included a link down below to Royal Wood Limited. So this is a 3-ply basket weaving thread, 3-ply wax linen thread for basket weaving. This is a 4-ply. You just see this, a very slight difference. How do I know what size to use? Well, the thicker my paper, the thicker my thread. The thinner the paper, the thinner the thread. So if I was doing watercolor pages, for example, I'd probably use the 4-ply. If I was using sketchbook pages, I'd probably use the 3-ply. But I mean, I don't get too hung up on 3 or 4-ply. It's when you have a very, very thick one, you don't want to use that with a very thin paper because it'll create holes. It'll rip the paper. This is basket weaving thread, and it comes in 2, 3, 4, and 7-ply, I believe. I don't have the 7-ply because it's far too thick. However, so that's my favorite, and that's what I use. However, this also is very popular. This is called Londonderry thread. And you can get it from Colophon Book Arts in the US, and I believe in most of the European bookbinding suppliers. It's inexpensive because you see it's a lot smaller. So this will run you like $20. So, you know, you've got to buy a lot of colors, it's pretty pricey. But this comes in these small spools like this. And like I said, they're unwaxed. I'm trying to get the camera to focused. And what you're going to see on here is numbers. So where are my numbers? Where are my numbers? 85 and 5 is this number. This number is 80 and 3. This number is 50 and 3. You might be like, pardon me, what are these numbers? Let me show you another one. This is a Coates Barber. This is an Irish one. And it says number 12 and 3. Huh. Like, I have no idea what these people are talking about. This one is an 18 and 3. So you'll often see numbers like that. And what that means, my friends, is the 12, oops, oh, let's try and get it to focus. Hold on. I'm trying to get it twisted around. The 12 and 3 is a number 12 thread, and an 18 is a number 18 thread. The 18 is smaller than the 12, so it's the opposite of what you think. The 12 is bigger, the 18 is smaller or is thinner. So 12 thicker, 18 thinner, which I know is just counterintuitive, but that's just how threads are done. So I think it's the same with needles. And the number 3 means there's 3 pieces of thread twisted together. So this is a size 18 thread. There's 3 strands and they're twisted together. And then these have been waxed. This is a number 12 thread, so a thicker thread, and there's 3 strands of it that have been twisted together. You won't be able to pull it apart. In the manufacturing process, they've been twisted together, and they have a thin layer of wax on. So if this is what size is this? This is an 80 and 3. I don't know if you can see that. This is a size 80 thread, which is really pretty thin. And there's 3 strands of it twisted together. This is unwaxed though. This one right here is a 50. So it is a size 50, which has been, and 3 strands which have been twisted together. So honestly, the 80 is thinner than the 50. You won't be able to see that, but I can feel the difference. So you can see on the screen, I put the 80 and 3 is that right? 80 and 3 is larger than 35 and 3. Yes, that's correct. So 18 is larger than, say, a 35, but a 12 is larger than an 18. I know it's confusing, friends. Why do you think I stick to the 2 and 3 ply and 4 ply thread? So, but essentially, you're just, what I would do is practice with different threads. If your friends have threads, switch them out and just kind of see which one suits you. You could often buy cards where you have samples of the thread, so you can actually feel it before you buy it. The advantage of this Londonderry is you get lots of colors for quite a cheap price. If you would much prefer to do this kind of heavily waxed thread like I do, go to a company on Etsy called UberArt, who we have worked with many times. And she does sample packs of different colors. So you'll get, say, 5 different colors and you get 5 different books out of that sample pack. So you don't have to buy these big spools if you don't want to. So those are my thoughts on thread. And I think, my friends, that was the end of the questions. I'm going to switch back to my face. Just bear with me for a second. I do apologize about that. Here we go. Oh, no. No. Bear with me. Bear with me. I do apologize about that blurriness. I think it's my new iPhone, and I think it's kind of the focusing is off. So what questions do we have, Amber? You want to pop some on screen if we have any? So Catherine's there. She's struggling always as a relative newbie on how to make signatures pages align once the book is stitched. Oh, and not protrude from the cover. That's a great question. So what I thought you were going to say is that once once you've stitched it, they're all wonky, which can happen, and it's difficult to do anything about it. But what it sounds like is your covers are not big enough. So what you want to do is, let me find some things to work with here. I'm gonna let's make a pretend signature. Let's pretend signature. Now I'm assuming maybe this is a Coptic binding, and we can also deal with, say, maybe a soft cover binding. But let's say here's your signature, and let's see what it measures, shall we? So crossways, it's 4 1/4 inches across when it's folded like this. And if I'm doing a Coptic binding, I'm going to put a hard cover on the front and the back. And what Catherine is saying is that her signatures poke out from the edge. So what this means is that you don't have a square. So what we want with a book on the inside, what we want to see is this. We want to see a square. We want to see some space at the top, the bottom, and the sides. So we definitely want to see a square. And the way to do that is when you're cutting out your book board. When you cut out your book board, you're going to want to make it a 1/4 inch wider than your folded signature. So this was 4 1/4, right? Across. Your hardcover will be 4 1/2 inches. So that will give you a 1/4 inch square. If you want an 1/8 of an inch square, you would do 4 3/8 wide for your hardcover. But if you're struggling with it, I would do it a 1/4 inch wider, your piece of bookboard. And then you can do an extra 1/4 inch or 1/2 inch on the height. It sounds like the height isn't a problem, but maybe it is a problem. But if you do your bookboard a 1/2 inch taller than your signature, you'll have a 1/4 inch here, a 1/4 inch here, and a 1/4 inch here, so that you have a nice square. I personally would probably only add on a 1/4 inch rather than a 1/2 inch to my height. So I just had an 1/8 top and bottom. But if you're struggling, maybe you want to go more. But the problem is your cover is too small for your signatures. If you are doing, say, a pamphlet stitch book, so this is it a pamphlet stitch book? It's a running stitch. Let's find a pamphlet stitch book. If you've got like a soft cover pamphlet stitch book, you're going to do the same thing, or something with a soft cover. You're going to make sure that your cover is taller than the signature that's inside, and a little bit wider. So it sounds like that's what the problem is, but if it's not, tell me and we can troubleshoot. What other questions are there, Amber? What's the best size of bookboard to buy and where? I love that question. So it depends. Depends on how much you want. So if you're starting out and you just want to have a small amount of bookboard, I would order it from Amazon or somewhere like Paper and Ink Arts. You can buy packs of Linoco. I'm just gonna see if let me grab the ones I have. You could buy a package like this. It's I don't know, maybe 18 by 24, and there's 3 in a pack, and it is the size is 0.087 thickness, and I think that's a great thickness. So, whoa, hello. If you order it on Amazon, you'll get free shipping. I don't love sending people to Amazon. So if you can go to another art supply place and then, get free shipping over $75, I would definitely do that. But this pack from Linoco is amazing, and I really, really love it. And honestly, 4 sheets like this, this is gonna make you like, I don't know, 10 books at least, if not more. If, however, you really get into it, or say you've got to make a whole bunch of books, that's probably not as cost effective, and you want to go to a bookbinding supplier. So if you're in the US, it's Tallis or Hollanders. And again, you can get around a 0.87, 0.087, 0.090 is quite thick. I tend to go a little bit thinner, so that then if I need a thicker bookboard, I just smush them together. So anywhere from a 0.080, 0.082, 0.87 up to 0.090 is a good size. But with those, their sheets are often larger, and even if they're not larger at Hollanders, I think they're about that size, they charge shipping. So you've really got to be sure that you really love this hobby and you want to invest in, that much bookboard to kind of make the shipping worth it. So that is who I would recommend, though, is that Linoco. It is slightly different. Like, this is a piece of the Tallis, I think, and the surface is it's not smooth. It's not super textured, but it's not really smooth. Whereas this Linoco, oops, hold on, it's on the floor here. This Linoco has just got a slightly smooth sheen to it. So it's just manufactured in a different way, but they're both really good bookboards. So I hope that helps. What other questions do we have, Amber? Catherine, it's not the height, it's the width. How to mend the width when the signatures stick out. Trim the signatures. Yeah, not ideal. Not ideal. So if you have a book and the signatures are sticking out, you're going to have to open up that book on your desk, sort of open it out, and on it, with each signature, you're going to measure across. So decide, okay, I need to make my signatures 4 inches wide. Measure across in 3 places, mark it with a pencil. You're going to have to go in if you don't want to re-sew the book. So personally, I might re-sew the book. I might unpick it, cut my signatures down to say 4 inches wide, and then re-sew it. If you don't want to re-sew it, if you think you might lose your mind, you can try and do it with them in there. But just do one signature at a time. Make sure you measure across in 3 places and draw yourself a line, and just do lots of small cuts to like get a couple sheets of paper at a time with a really sharp blade. So what you don't want to do is like gouge and try and cut it out. I mean, I'm just trying to think if you had access to a guillotine, maybe you could, but it's still it ain't gonna be fun, honey. I'm so sorry. It's not gonna be fun. So I really might be tempted to re-sew and just think you're getting practice of whatever that binding is. So your bookbinding skills will be improving. What else do we have? So Kathy, hi Kathy. She says, I'm collaging photos onto the washi tape journal. I have trouble with bubbling of the pictures. I tried Yoo-hoo, but it doesn't seem to last. Any suggestions on a better gluing technique? Oh, that's interesting. I haven't glued photos for years. When I used to put photos in books, I haven't put photos in books. Can I tell you what I do in my photos? I go to Snapfish and order a book. I would, if it was me, I would go to Michael's or wherever, Hobby Lobby, and get not photo corners where you can remove the photo, but they've got a little square adhesive, pieces of square adhesive, which have got like, they either come on a roll or on a sheet. I'm going to see if I have any. Hang on. No. Oh, yeah. Yes, I do. Yes, I do. See, everything's all organized. They're called photo tabs. They come in a roll like that, and you just peel them off, stick them on, and take off the plastic. They're kind of, can hardly see them. They're like little squares. So I would use these photo tabs, and if it's a big picture, I would maybe instead of just doing one in each of the 4 corners, maybe put 6 or 8. These are the photo corners, which I said I wouldn't use unless you want to be able to remove the picture. But I know it sounds crazy, but these, honestly, these are really strong, and they're meant for photos. The thing with photos is they're glossy. I mean, if it's a a non-glossy photo, the Yoo-hoo glue stick would work really well, but I think it's the glossiness and the heaviness. So I would use something designed for photos. What else, my dear? Amber's so good with these questions. What type of adhesive, asked Debbie, hi Debbie, what type of adhesive is best for book cloth or paper? So I'm guessing you mean, Debbie, and correct me if I'm wrong, adding book cloth and paper to book board, I'm guessing. If not, you can tell me if it's for making book cloth, then let me know. My go-to is always PVA. What's with these cameras today? I can't make anything focus. My first choice is always PVA, but there are other white glues which work, such as Yes Paste. What else do I have? What else do I have? I also like tacky glue, also like Fabri-Tac. Someone from the club introduced me to Fabri-Tac last year. Fabri-Tac is also great. So any kind of white glue, if it's if you're going to be pH neutral, great. If not, I don't think anyone's going to, come come around and put you in jail. So that'll be my first choice. Other things, I do like a nori paste, Nori, which is like kind of almost looks like Vaseline, and it smells really good. I do quite like a nori paste, and the advantage of a nori paste is that it takes longer to dry. So the trouble with this is, especially if you live somewhere warm, God, honestly, I don't know what's going on today. If you live somewhere warm or where it's the winter here and the heating's on really high, this can dry really quickly. So something like a nori paste is also really good. But there's lots of choice. Like, there's really not a wrong one. I don't love Mod Podge, but you know, if that's what you've got before, you know, and you can't get to the store, you can use that. But PVA is generally considered the thing to use. What other questions do we have? Could you add to the covers a few inches by collaging onto them or cutting or renewing? I think that was for Catherine, right? But yeah, maybe you could extend the cover. That's a good idea. I like it. Yeah, why not? Get creative, right? Anything else, Miss Amber? Oh, that's it. That's it. I would love to know in the chat. I'm just going to look in the chat right now. Keeping that note for next time. Okay. I'm just looking at your comments. Yes. Thank you, Zany Love. Thank you, Dawn. Yeah, I'll figure out my next time. I would love to know if you are here live, or even if you're watching the recording, if you would like more of these Q&As, if they're helpful. We'll be doing one once per month for sure. But, it's because it's for the folks in the Bookbinding Bootcamp who are just really beginning and feeling their way around this bookbinding world. So we'll definitely do one per month. But if you would like more of these, then feel free, just drop a comment in and let us know, because I won't do them if they're not helpful. Or if there's anything else that you would like us to do on these YouTube lives, just please let us know. And I'm happy to demo things as long as we get the camera worked out. I'm happy to show you things. I've got some new papers. I've got some new tools. So I just don't want to jump on here and do things that you're not particularly interested in. So I need some feedback from you about what would be helpful and interesting and useful, and I will attempt to deliver. So I'm just looking at your questions. Catherine said, hi, Catherine. Haven't seen you for a while. I'm not a rank newbie, but I'm still learning and enjoying. Oh, thank you very much. Debbie, Georgia says yes. Lanny says yes. Is there a way to sharpen the... Oh, there's a good question here, actually. Let me answer Donna's question. Is there a way to sharpen the bits for a Japanese screw punch, or should you just buy new ones? You can actually sharpen them. You can't sharpen them forever, Donna, but you can sharpen them, you know, maybe half a dozen times before you have to replace them. Let me see if I've got... I have the stuff here. That's why we're doing the live in this side of the studio, so that I can grab things. So what you grab is a it's called Jeweler's Rouge. Feels like a pasty white chalk. Get it from a leather supplier. It's kind of, it doesn't really rub off on your fingers. And then you put some, you rub it on the back of a piece of leather. You make like a stroke. And then you run the tips of your Japanese screw punch bits. You kind of tilt them so that the, you know, the sharp edge is going up and down on this Jeweler's Rouge on the back of here. And that will sharpen them a number of times before you have to replace them. Because, yeah, they're not cheap. And you get through them. They go blunt pretty quickly. Great question, Donna. Basic skill, says Pat. All right. Oh, and Prof. CPAC is making some books for kids. I love it. I love it. I love it. All right, my friends, thank you very much for being here. Thank you for your patience. We'll get the camera thing figured out. Baby steps, right? Keep those questions coming, and we will be back here soon to answer them. If you are not on our mailing list, or you'd like to join the Bookbinding Bootcamp, I've included a link underneath, and then you'll be reminded of when these live Q&As are. All right, thanks, Zany Love. Thanks, Marie. Thanks, Donna. Great to see you. Have a great day, everyone.